Using natural yeast for fermentation, a partial success. William Hovey Smith, 2015. Here's my book, Backyard Deer Hunting. Now, I also make wines to eat with my wild game meals. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And today, I'd like to talk to you again about pear wines. The reason for this video is that I have a pear tree out in my backyard, actually 3 of them, and one of which became so laden with pears in June that it broke a branch and dumped about 40 pounds of pears on the ground long before they were mature. These were tiny pears. And here is one of our southern pear trees literally breaking down with fruit. Say about the size of a hard ball to a large plum. Yeah, I mean, the big ones get big, but these were much, much tinier and actually not mature and obviously not developed all the sugars yet. Well, the Scotch in me would not allow these pears to go to waste. Now, previously I have done videos about how to make pear wine, and the way I do it is a little bit different. When I have great big mature pears, I take them, I peel them, I slice them, core them, de-stem them, boil them, mash this up to a pear sauce, which is also a quite nice edible product, and that pear sauce I ferment. To go quickly through the process, now here are the pears being boiled. Now the mash is in that sack in the bucket, and here it's been fermented and I am decanting off. And here is one of my products, which is a pear bread made from the mash and the pear sauce and poached pears. And here we're actually making a pear sweet potato pie. And here you see the pie finished. Now, you do add sugar to this product, as I did to the salvaged pears. And you also add commercial yeast and other additives, including sulfates to kill the natural yeast. That way you're sure that your cultured yeast has full run in making the product. Well, with these salvage pears, I decided to take a different approach. We took the pears, we gathered them. They were actually, I consider them too small to actually peel. So we stemmed them and cut them and boiled them just like we did before, except now they have the peels on. And these we mashed. And the reason I mash my pears is to give more surface area so the extract of the sugars and carbohydrates and so on can be more thorough in shorter time. These I put in a bucket, about a 5-gallon bucket, and allow to ferment naturally after I drop in about a half dozen or so of the pears from the tree with the skin on and stems and all. This was to be the source of my natural yeast. And I allowed these to ferment in this bucket for approximately 6 days, which is the usual initial fermentation time. And when I pulled the sack out containing all these solid products and just raised them out of the bucket and squeezed it, that removed that. I took the liquid and then I put it in a glass container and proceed to let it ferment further. Now at this stage it's been fermenting for 3 days. Initially the fermentation rate was very, very rapid indeed. And what that tells me that it's probably still fermenting off the added sugar that I put in there and may not have tackled the more complex sugars as thoroughly at first. But its fermentation rate, as measured by the evolved amount of CO2 which comes out, has slowed some. Well, so I am going to start extracting product from it. Its alcohol content is probably going to be about 5% or so. This is, if you would just classify things by alcohol content, this would be a beer. And is it going to taste like anything? I have no idea at all, but we're going to find out. Now, about taste and other things. I have a video called Strange Spirits I Have Known, where I sample some things on the world market and see how they taste or don't taste or how peculiar they really are. Well, we have some additions to that department. This is a product called Red Velvet, and it is red, red, red. And it is called a malt beverage, and it is 5% alcohol. Although it's in what would generally be known as a wine bottle, it's not a wine. And it does have a unique kind of cork to hold pressure on it. This is a screw top, rather than being, say, the typical cork that's wired shut like a champagne bottle. Because this does have CO2 in it. Now, how they get the taste of red velvet cake in this product, I don't know. And this was available at a special discount price of $2.95 at the local wine store. And my friend bought it for me. He knows I like strange and peculiar things. And my estimation of its price, well, it's worth every penny of $2.95. It's super sweet, but it is red, 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 and somehow it did really capture the taste of red velvet cake. Not anything I want in a beverage. However, there are many people trying to bottle beverages with different flavors, making them sort of alcoholic beverage into a sort of alcohol flavored soda pop with various flavors. So this is one of the examples of that. I would classify this as, if you absolutely have nothing else to drink, you can drink it and it won't kill you, at least not in moderate amounts. But can't really think of a use of the product. Maybe there is. If you like red velvet cake and really, really do, okay, you can have this instead and get exactly the same flavors. Now, one batch of pear wine I made came off spectacularly well. And I value this product at $500 a liter. Whoa! Now, I also have had other batches of pear wine that came out not so well, and persimmon wine that I valued at 50 cents a liter. So how does that come about? Well, it depends on scarcity and taste and how personally I like it. Now, my evaluation may have nothing whatever to do in the world with what someone might pay for it. But that's how I value it, and if somebody wants to buy it, that's the price. Now, what this material is, this is Chinese white spirits. And here is the infamous Chinese white spirits. And I have a video up about this, by the way, and it is absolutely the worst tasting distilled spirits known to the art of man. It is terrible, horrible, disgusting stuff, and it's 150 to 200 proof. Brr! I mean, this stuff is evil. Yeah. And it is fermented with great care in China, and it's apparently fermented in clay vessels. And these vessels are not hard-fired porcelain. They're somewhat porous, so the liquor, this alcohol, picks up some of the earthy tones coming from the clay vessel itself, and it also has a strong flavor of bamboo. I don't know how they impart that. Maybe they filter it through bamboo charcoal, if you can make such a thing. But however they do it, this Chinese white spirits is some wicked, terrible tasting stuff. Now, how about our stuff fermenting over here beside me that I'll show you in a little bit? The risk of using wild yeast is that you don't know what you're going to come up with. It could be very good. It could be absolutely terrible. And maybe I wasted all the product. But it's a risk I'm taking, and you'll be able to see the results because we're right now about to make a decant of it. You're now seeing the evolution of CO2 from the fermenting material in the glass container. You can see the material in the neck This is some of the mash that's being brought up from the bottom by CO2 bubbles and is collecting in the neck. Periodically you want to remove this, or you'll actually get a mold growth on top of this, which is undesirable. So there's still sugars available in this product. Consequently, it'll taste somewhat sweet. So this is what we're going to attempt to extract at this stage. In front of me here, in the screw cap bottles, is my beer, quote unquote, and this is going to go immediately in refrigeration. And I'm going to store it in a small portable refrigerator outside, so as these bottles blow, I don't have my big refrigerator to clean up. But this is a product that's going to need to be consumed within days. We're now about to see what we have wrought with our wild yeast fermentation. And here it is, in the red velvet bottle, with which you are now familiar. And it has been refrigerated overnight. We're now about to pour out. It still has a little sediment in the bottom. The material was still evolving CO2, so this is carbonated. So we should hear a pop and maybe even an effervescence when we open it. Hence the tray down here to catch any liquid. We'll taste it. And this could be good. This could be mediocre. This could be absolutely terrible. Well, we're going to find out. So let us see. Okay. No particular pop, which is surprising. I sort of thought that this might be more bubbly and effervescent, but not so. The taste smells acid. Does taste acid, something a little like lemonade in that sense. A touch of sweet. A hint of pear, slightly sour. Certainly not what one would think of as a typical beer. Drinkable. If you like lemonade, yeah, I think you'd probably like it. For the rest of the world, mediocre. Okay. Drinkable product, interesting flavors, but not particularly distinguished. So we have another container here from Mississippi Mud, and so we are going to try it. So let's listen and see what happens. Still not much of an effervescence. Okay, let's pour it up in the container. Okay. Don't hear much. Don't see much. Now the product here is still fermenting. So it is still evolving CO2. One thing we found when we tasted this product previously is that it was a little too acid. So we're going to take care of that. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to add a little baking soda to neutralize it. So what we have here is about a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And now we see if we have a better tasting product. What baking soda does, it sweetens an acid product. It's not in the sense that you added sugar, but it does give a sweetener to it because it's not, it doesn't have the acid bite quite so much. So now we shall see what we've got here. It doesn't smell as acid as it did. Nor does it have quite the bite. Okay, now this worked. This is a very low alcohol content. When I made it, I only had about 2 pounds of sugar to this entire container. And that is much too little if you're going to make serious wine. Actually, more like 12 pounds of sugar would go in this size container with the same amount of fruit to make a wine that was something between 6 and 14%. Now this does have alcohol. It's low though. This is more like somewhere in the range of probably 2.5 to about 3, I would think. Certainly no more than that. So this is in effect a refreshing summer drink now that I've neutralized it a little bit. So this is quite drinkable. Ice? Yeah. This is equivalent of a slightly alcoholic lemonade. And this is a product that you can actually drink by the water glassful without any, without any particular problem. I wouldn't drink 3 or 4, but one is certainly very refreshing and turns out to be a reasonable product. So we're going to go ahead and bottle up the rest of this just as it is, because if it goes any further, what it's going to do is come out with a vinegar, but a very weak vinegar, not a vinegar that's really worth using. But as it is now, it is a weakly alcoholic drink that happens to have captured one of our Georgia gnats right here. That's what that black spot is. Okay, so a qualified success. So we did wind up with a drinkable product. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. Yeah. Well. I added 4 pounds of sugar to 25 pounds of cored but unpeeled pears with the stems removed, and this was fermented in a bucket for 7 days, decanted, fermented for 3 additional days. Now I modified the pH with baking soda to sweeten it. Now this is a weakly alcoholic lemonade tasting beverage with a mild pear flavor. I am the author of a number of books. Now these include backyard deer hunting, crossbow hunting, extreme muzzleloading, as well as shooting and maintaining your muzzleloader. I have a new line of business books out in the Profit series, the first of which is Ideas for New Businesses, and here is a little blurb about that. For more information on my books, blogs, and videos, go to my website, www.hoveysmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.